This next stitch is a modification of the cross catch stitch, so it can also be used for hemming. I like to use this stitch sometimes instead of the cross catch stitch because the cross catch stitch sits on the inside of the hem and sometimes can be snagged or pulled if somebody should step or rip up against the hem. So this stitch is a little bit more protected. I call this stitch the gym stitch after a former costume shop supervisor of mine. It could be called many things, but it is a variation of this previous stitch, the cross catch. So if you got the technique of the cross catch stitch down, it's pretty easy to also master the gym stitch. There is one difference, and I will show you what that is. So we begin the gym stitch in a different way. If I have my hem folded up like this, and I'm treating this portion as the single layer of fabric or the skirt or pant hem that I'm going to hem, I'm going to put my needle underneath the fold or underneath these layers that have been flipped up and pull so that the knot ends up on the back side. So it is underneath the hem and will not be seen. Then I jump up diagonally, much like I would have with the cross catch stitch, and do a very small backward stitch. So this part does look just like the cross catch stitch. Pull. And then when I would come down here in the cross catch stitch to make a back stitch, like so, instead of doing it here on the surface of the hem that's flipped up, I will aim for the same spot, but instead I will go underneath the hem and straight through it. So I'm only going through these hem layers. I'm not going to this back layer, which would be my skirt or my pant. It's only through the hem that has been flipped up. Got that caught there, freed it, there we go. Now jump up diagonally into what would be the pant leg or the skirt, back stitch, dive underneath the hem and go straight through it. So you can see as it's being completed, it almost looks like the whip stitch that we did previously back here. The whip stitch, however, is straight through all of the layers. And the big difference about this and why it's good for hemming is that the only thing that will be shown through the pretty side or right side of the fabric are these teeny tiny little back stitches that I've done here. So they should only be tiny, tiny dots on the outside. Again, it's a backward motion, a very, very small stitch. You're only grabbing a few fibers. Pull, and then underneath and straight through. Once you get used to it, you get a good rhythm going, and you actually can move quite quickly. It's nice and neat. There's less thread exposed on the top as opposed to what happens here with the cross catch stitch. They have the same purpose and a similar effectiveness. I just like this because more of my thread is hidden underneath. And then if I were to end my hem or need to stop because I'm running out of thread, I would again make a small stitch in my hem, not in the pant leg or the skirt. Pull until it's flat and then make a second small stitch on top of that. Pull until my loop forms and then put my needle in the loop, wrap around. Don't let it run away from you. Pull until my knot forms and then I can stop. And you can see the back side of that, how they are very, very small little stitches that are barely seen through the fabric.